If you get Jesus into the discussion, I find you can pretty much let him defend you for him. He defends you in every discussion. So when the whole thing with the violence in the Old Testament and the Crusades and the Inquisition and the witch burnings and all this, just go, well, let's see what Jesus would say. Let's go to Matthew 5, verse 17, where Jesus says very clearly, "For I have not come to destroy the law," the Mosaic law, that Old Testament violence. I've not come to destroy it. I've come to fulfill it. And ask your Muslim friend, what does this mean, fulfill? What you have done is you brought Jesus into the discussion, but now the question's back on them. Explain what fulfill is. Well, they won't know. So they'll say, well, let's read on, because Jesus does explain exactly what he means. 6 times. He gives 6 different examples of what he means in that same chapter. So continue on. Look where it says, "For you have heard it say in the Old Testament law, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I now say," oh, wait a minute, here's something new. "I now say to turn the other cheek." There's the Old Testament law, there's the Mosaic law, an eye for an eye. Well, that's also in the Quran in chapter 5, verse 50. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Actually, it's verse 45. An eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, nose for a nose. They take it to the extreme, as the Quran always seems to do. "But now I say to turn the other cheek." Ooh, that's a whole new law, a whole new paradigm, a whole new Testament. Much more difficult, isn't it, than the old law? Not destroying it, not abrogating it, fulfilling it. "You have heard it say in verse 43, to love your friends and hate your enemies. But I now say," here's the new law, here's the new covenant, here's the New Testament, "to love your enemies." Ooh, I love that. Now, what I have done, I have not only gone back to Scripture to support what I'm saying, so I'm elevating Scripture where it belongs. It's now my authority. I'm quoting Jesus Christ, and I love to quote Jesus Christ, because once you're quoting Jesus Christ, you're not quoting yourself, and it's no longer your opinion. It's what Christ is saying, and you're taking the very problem that they're throwing at you, the Crusades and the Inquisition and the witch burning, and I say Christ answers all of that, and I want to make sure that they hear about Christ. And what I'm saying is Christ does deal with that, and he gives us a whole new paradigm. We're no longer to do what Joshua was doing in Jericho. We're no longer to do what the Israelites are doing against the Amalekites in 1 Samuel. We're no longer to do what the Israelites were doing against the Moabites and the Midianites in Numbers 21. We're now to come back to what Jesus says. And what Jesus says right here in Matthew 5 is what I follow. I don't follow Abraham. I don't follow David. I don't follow Joshua. I don't follow Billy Graham. I follow Jesus.